Hey everyone, let's talk MacBook Air. 15-inch. Now this is actually the second time I'm recording this video because the first time I recorded it, my audio got massively jacked up. And because I have the attention span of a fruit fly, we're gonna go ahead and zip right through this MacBook Air review and make this one as quick and painless as possible. Now I often get asked what the best 15-inch computer you can buy is, and obviously that's a loaded question with a lot of variables. It depends if you're a Mac person, a PC person, if you have money to piss away, if you're broke. It's very intimidating for people to pick a laptop, much less me make that decision for you. But gun to my head and money being no option, there is a very clear winner. The best laptop for most people is the MacBook Air 15. Now before you go calling me a fanboy, let's talk exactly about what most people want in their laptop. And that's something that's quick and powerful, has good battery life, and is easy to move around with. Now, of course, not everybody is going to be a traveling journalist or a student, but nevertheless, if you're getting a laptop, you probably want it to be able to move from desk to table to backpack or something like that in some kind of reasonable fashion. And yes, of course, there are definitely people that just use their laptop on one single table at all times, but that's not the general use case. And of course, you do want to make sure that you have good battery life in a laptop because, well, I mean, you know, it's a laptop and it's meant to be able to be unplugged every now and again. And then frankly, for my taste, I like to have a good set of speakers in my laptops as well because, well, I like listening to music and podcasts, and I just kind of feel like good speakers are indicative of a computer company giving a when they design their laptops. If you are somebody that's shopping around for a new machine and you don't mind switching over from a PC to a Mac, or if you're already a Mac user, or if you're a college student starting off into the world and you need something powerful and nimble, this is your best option out there, and you can even sometimes find these things for sub $1,000. Now the going retail rate on an entry-level MacBook Air 15 is about $1,200 if I'm not mistaken. Now if you compare that price tag with the offerings from Dell and Lenovo, all of which, by the way, if you watch this channel, you know that I'm a big fan of both Dell and Lenovo, and same with Acer and Asus. They all make good products. Really the only company that doesn't make good products is HP. HP. But anyway, if you compare their offerings to the MacBook Air, not only do you get a better quality keyboard, you get a bigger trackpad, you get the all aluminum body, which is built tough as nails, you get the best possible speakers, you get one of the nicest displays. Now, yes, maybe it's not the most color accurate, but it's gonna be the best for like 99% of people, certainly more than adequate for somebody that's writing, doing documents, PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets, internet browsing, doing photo editing, editing a podcast. You get the idea. I mean, really, the 15-inch screen in the MacBook Air series is just one of the most crisp and beautiful out there. And even if it does have some issues with ghosting, depending on how fast the refresh rate and all that other stuff is going on, again, most people aren't going to encounter any kind of problems with it. And then when you talk about features, the MacBook Air 15 is loaded with them too, comparatively. Not only do you have the fastest Wi-Fi technology and the fastest and latest Bluetooth, you've got one of the best webcams, it's a 1080p, you've got Touch ID on there as well. To put something into perspective, I've reviewed far more expensive laptops on this channel that didn't even have Windows Hello compatible fingerprint readers or cameras. So that's pretty good. And beyond that, this thing is just super thin and light. This thing weighs less than 3.5 pounds, is like about 1/2 inch thick. You could practically fit this thing in your back pocket if you had big enough jeans. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the nitty-gritty details of the MacBook Air 15. The keyboard, one of the best in class. Black keycaps, which I love. It has a backlight baked into it as well. Also has Touch ID. It doesn't have a numpad on the side, so if you're somebody that does things like data entry, Excel sheets, this kind of thing, accounting, then maybe this computer won't be for you. But actually, I'd also argue that if you are an accountant, you probably don't want to go with the Mac platform anyway. And that's because most accounting software, all the good stuff, is really made for Windows anyway. So with that in mind, well, okay, we found somebody that this computer won't be good for, and that's an accountant. That's like, but you know, those people they're not real people. I'm really sorry. If anybody's an accountant watching this, please don't leave me. The trackpad, as I said, is absolutely huge. It's made of glass, it's got haptic feedback, and it's got multi-gesture support where you can use 1, 2, 3, or 4 fingers to manipulate what you see on the screen. Apple has made the best trackpad on a laptop for easily 10 plus years at this point. Basically, as soon as they introduced the multi-gesture trackpads, there's been no close second. I don't know why other manufacturers can't copy the voodoo Apple uses in their laptops, but Dell, Lenovo, Acer, if you're listening, just rip off their patent or pay them for it or license it, whatever. The screen, super crisp, super bright, super colorful. Basically, it's what they call their liquid retina display with True Tone, and what that effectively means is that the color temperature of the display changes depending on the ambient light temperature. So basically, if you're in a room with like more yellower light, it kind of brightens up and makes it a little cooler, and vice versa. So that's kind of nice, and you know, again, Apple's been utilizing that technology on their laptops now for, I mean, almost actually the better part of a decade, probably. And they're ultimately really, really nice displays. The speakers in the MacBook Air 15 are still better than any of the premium PC laptops that I have ever used. They are not as good as they are in the MacBook Pro 14 or MacBook Pro 16, but they're still better comparatively to anything Lenovo and Dell are putting out. And yes, that may not be a big deal because most people using a laptop may be using headphones anyway, but it's still nice to know that Apple cares enough to give you good speakers. You know what I'm saying? Input and output on the MacBook Air 15 is admittedly a little sparse. You've only got 2 USB-C ports right here. You do have your MagSafe charger, which I absolutely love, and I do wish that other manufacturers would put MagSafe on their laptops, because it's really nice to know that when you kick over your laptop because you ripped the cord with your foot, it's not gonna come tearing down, because we live in 2024 and you still need cords to charge your laptops because they don't run on solar energy. But then on this side, you do have a traditional TRRS jack where you can use it for microphones and headphones and stuff like that, which is a nice touch. Again, you don't have like a camera card reader on it, which, you know, okay, then you get a little dongle or something like that, or you know, people buying this probably have iPhones anyway, so then you can just airdrop your stuff to it. But the point is that the I/O could be a little bit better, but it's still not too bad if you think about it. It's Thunderbolt, to be very specific. So that means you can connect displays and daisy chain hard drives and all that kind of stuff to it. I mean, you know, Apple's pretty generous in terms of the power of their I/O. Battery life on these things is, of course, epic. Apple has made the formula of their battery life, especially since they've released their M series chips, again, pretty much second to none. You can easily get all-day battery life out of this. We've even tested in some instances where you were getting 16 plus hours worth of battery life. But practically speaking, you can unplug this thing in the morning, do an entire day's worth of work, and we're talking about even like hardcore stuff like editing photos on site. Like, let's say you're a photographer and you're loading your pictures into this thing and you forgot your charging cord, you're doing a little bit of editing, maybe you're at a wedding, whatever, this thing will be able to handle all of that by the time you then get back home and then plug it back in. You'll still probably have like 30% battery life to go. The chips in these things, obviously they started off with the M2s, you can now get them with the M3s. If you can find a cheap refurbished with the M2, I'd say just go with that and save yourself a little bit of money because they're already pretty darn quick. The M3s, of course, it's just sort of a nice little tiny upgrade. But basically, if you're shopping for one of these things and you can get an M2 version for like, let's call it maybe like $300 to $400 less, I probably would go that route because the M3, while a little bit quicker, is not like that much quicker. One thing to remember with any of Apple's laptops though is in terms of the RAM and the storage, you will want to buy it with the amount you require right out the gate. In other words, if you are somebody that you know you're gonna use like 512 gigs of solid state storage or even 1 terabyte of solid state storage, you need to get that one when you buy this thing, and that's because you cannot upgrade these things later on down the road. And that just about wraps up our MacBook Air 15 review. Here is, oh, by the way, here is what the webcam footage looks like now. This is a test of the camera quality in the MacBook Air 15-inch under average lighting. This is probably the kind of lighting most people will have in their home or office. And all in, you know, it's a 1080p camera, and, you know, while it's not gonna record an IMAX movie, it is, you know, pretty decent quality and will certainly get the job done for FaceTime, Zoom, office productivity type stuff. All in, I think that it is a pretty good camera. Maybe not the best I've seen on a laptop, but almost there. What you are basically left with is a very feature-rich, very well-designed computer that is going to be awesome for most people needing a 15-inch laptop. That is not to say that there aren't great PCs available in that price range, but dollar for dollar, Apple has absolutely the best price to performance ratio of any of the 15-inch laptops. So who is this computer for? I think that this computer would be fine for anybody that's doing, like, let's say photography, even a little bit of video editing. If you're a college student, if you're somebody that travels a lot. Obviously, we've discovered that if you're an accountant, you probably want to look elsewhere. If you're a podcaster and you're recording like podcasts on location, perfect for that as well. Only people that I would say this computer isn't for is, again, maybe like data entry, gamers. You know, the Mac platform just still isn't quite as hip to games as the Microsoft stuff is. And somebody that just needs maybe like a lot of horsepower because they're editing like 4K raw video, in which case then you would want like the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But ultimately for, I mean, just about most people that walk through our door, I'm very comfortable in recommending the MacBook Air 15. So am I justified in thinking that the 15-inch MacBook Air is one of the best computers that you can buy? Well, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Please like and subscribe. Please check us out on Patreon. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us in the comment section as well. And we will be back with another video really soon.